Well, I'm very excited about today's show. I have one of my dearest friends with me, and we've got a whole lot of great things to talk about. But he's got a very special project, actually a couple of very special projects, and it's the best time of year for these projects to even be coming out. And I'm really excited to share his story with you and the story on the back end of the show as well. So you want to stick around for the whole episode. And he's a musician, so he's going to play for us. And Mr. Alex Zsolt. And did I get the name right? Because I'm always getting it wrong.
You did.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Do you know how to say my name?
Larry Ferguson.
All right. He's American. So hey, first of all, he is one of the most amazing pianists you'll ever hear in your life, and I mean that. And I'm not only proud to be your friend, but I'm proud to get to work with you a little bit on some things that we've gotten to do outside of this.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit. How did you get into playing, the piano to begin with? Was it something you wanted to do, or did just mom get you started in it? Or?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So when I was really, really young, I mean, really young, like pretty much almost out of the womb, my mom tells me this story. And so she says about how I was an infant and she could do anything in the house, from cook, clean, vacuum, whatever, as long as there was music playing. So, and back in those days, there were cassette tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And the cassette tape was on side A. As soon as that stopped, I would start crying.
Oh.
All she would have to do is turn the tape over, hit play, and then I would shut up. And then she could do whatever she wanted. So it started then, but we didn't, growing up, we didn't have a whole lot of resources. We lived in Michigan, then Arkansas, back to Michigan, now Tennessee. And then a family had gifted our family a 3-manual Wurlitzer organ.
Oh, wow.
And, and the reason why I went from that to the piano, because I couldn't reach the pedals then, I still can't reach the pedals now, So I'll never forget, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Dockery, in Hot Springs, Arkansas, gave me free lessons on the side for a little while, and that was my first keyboard experience. And so that's really where music really just all started.
In Hot Springs?
Yeah, really in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh, wow. That's a cool place to have picked it up.
Yeah, and back then, Hot Springs is, nothing like what it is now. I mean, it was just starting and in its infancy. And then we ended up back in Michigan, ran into a family friend who was a piano professor. And she said, well, if he ever wants to do anything in music, he should really start on the piano. Well, at that point, I was 9 years old, and I started taking lessons at 6. So those 3 years, when you're 9, that's a third of your life. So I remember being in tears, like I wasted 3 years of my life on the organ when I should start on the piano. So I'll never forget, I was like looking at the pianos, and we were going from different places, and we found this piano that a family had and got it for I think $300 or something. It was an old upright, didn't know the brand because the piano was in a fire and was painted over. So that was my first keyboard experiences, but I always felt connected to music in some way. And that was one of the ways, which was God's music, and in the church hearing it. I would try to come home from church and plunk out the hymns with one finger, and that's where all of the music really, really started.
Well, and you and I have a lot of things in common as far as our tastes and things that we enjoy, and with our age group, we liked a lot of things that was uncommon for a lot of people in our age group, that as far as like styles of music and,
sure,
and I think that was kind of beneficial to you as well. I think that was an asset to you. Do you think so?
Yeah, definitely. And, to this day, I love a mix of styles of music.
Yeah.
I think every one of them has its place.
Yes.
That's why this album was so crucial to do at the Ivories, because my hope is that everybody doesn't like the album. And I've been getting some response like that. Hey, I love this track, this track, this track. I don't like this one and this one.
Oh, really?
That's how I know I did my job with this album.
Yeah,
because there's so many different musical tastes and styles. I don't want everybody to like everything on it.
Yes.
So
I should have said that at the beginning too. Let me hold up the album too, and then we'll show it on the screen.
Yeah.
The album is At the Movies.
I like that one too.
At the Ivories, and it kind of fits with what we were talking about with your life, about how you like you said, you enjoyed all these different styles of music, and it kind of feeds into you. Of course, we're Christian,
right?
And that's a deep part of your life. And when did the Christian music come to play in your life? I mean, your testimony, and because this is a real testimony. This is, I mean, he goes to churches, he goes to all over the country, all over the world. Actually, I mean, he tours Europe and everything. And this album, you went to Prague and tell them a little bit. Actually,
Sure.
I'm all over the place with this, but let's tie all that in. I know I said a lot there, but you're good at.
I got it.
You're good at boiling it all in.
Yeah, it's. I accepted Christ at 12 years old. I'll never forget. It was at our church.
Me too.
Was it 12? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. We never
We're the
talked
same
about that.
age.
Man.
We're the same age. We like a lot of the same type of music. We like a lot of the same. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Pastor Dobson, Ed Dobson, up in Calvary Church in Michigan, we had a thing called Festival of Lights every Christmas. And they had hundreds of thousands of lights hanging on shaped sculpture type things and vignettes of stories, and the orchestra and the choir played. And at the end, he gave a 5-minute message. And that was when it really hit home for me about, this is real, and how tangible it is. And the music was so moving to me. I remember that part, sometimes, what is that one saying out there, when words fail, music speaks?
Yes, yeah.
And that's so true. And God uses music like that to move people's hearts.
Yes.
At 14, I was taking lessons at that point too, and at 14 I said short 14-year-old prayer, which was, God use me, and I didn't know how he would do that and in what way. I know I wouldn't be a musician today if it weren't for gospel music.
Yes.
Because as a musicianary, that's my calling, and my assignment from heaven is to impact lives through music and through God's music specifically. And this album, the reason why there's also such a wide variety of styles is, and we want to do it right. We went to, like you said, to Prague, and we recorded the orchestra, used the Nashville singers here in town. Piano was recorded here. But we wanted to kind of put on display what I have done in concerts in theaters. Because I'll do a mix. I'll do churches. I've been at presidential museums and libraries for both parties. Yeah. Disney, I've done concerts for them with my friend Rob Richards at Dale Capitan Theater. And in all of that, one of my favorite things is doing like a Friday or Saturday night theater concert where I get to go in and I get to share 9-10 different styles of music, and one of them that people will hear is gospel music. So I get to be a seed planter. Yes. And people that may not want to go to church, they'll come to a theater. Right. They'll listen to either Christmas songs or carols, or there's people out there that don't believe in Christ, but they love singing Silent Night. Yes. Yeah. So that was the design of this album, was to impact lives through different styles of music, some that are fun, some that's familiar, some that are hit songs. Yeah. But also to have, a hymn medley on there, a worship medley on there to connect with people at a deeper musical and spiritual level. Yeah. And you've done it. I mean, this is an incredible album. David. That's right, David T. Clydesdale. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I almost said Hunsinger. That's why I was correcting myself. They know each other. Yes. He did some incredible arrangements on this. And, amazing. And of course, you're an incredible arranger as well. And the singers, I mean, everybody, the choir. I mean, there's so many. Tell a little bit about the album. Who's on the album, and so we can let everybody know a little bit more about the album, because we want everybody to buy the album, and then I'll tell about the single as well after. Sure. And the guests on there, one of my passions or hobbies, if anyone ever asked me that, is Batman. Yeah. So I remember... We could talk about that too after this. Yeah. I remember being in jazz band in college, and we would have Neil Hefti charts like Lil Darlin' or Cute or Splanky. But Neil also wrote not just jazz standards, but he wrote the Batman theme song. And I teased Neil. He and I had lunch about 3 years before he passed away, and I said, Neil, there's something wrong with this sheet music. He said, what's that? I said, well, it says words and music. I said, shouldn't it say word and music? Because you got one word in there. It's true, yeah. But, so this is a neat thing and how personal this album is for me. Because with Neil's song, Little Darlin', I wanted to record that one. It's a very jazz doo-wop type sound, and that fits the jazz category.
Yeah.
But I asked his son, who's a friend of mine, Paul Hefty, would you, instead of doing the typical trumpet solo that's in the middle of that, can we change it to your jazz guitar? And would you be willing to do a tribute to your dad? Oh. And that's what that song has become, is a tribute for his dad. Then with my work with Disney, we did the Sherman Brothers concerts, and Richard Sherman was a friend of mine, and he just passed away recently, 95 years old, and still wrote music for the Walt Disney Company till about a year ago.
Wow.
And that was a special one, so we did his Feed the Birds, him and his brothers Feed the Birds on there. And I love how David orchestrated that, because it starts off with just a single string violin solo, and then the orchestra comes in, and then the piano, and then the cathedral type vocals on there. Then Michael W. Smith, he's on there, and he's known for a long time for his wonderful writing, but also, so we did Waymaker and Surrounded on there. And then the one that this man helped with, Mr. Larry Ferguson, is wanting to do something special for the 50th anniversary of the song I Will Always Love You. And having that duet with Dolly on there is just amazing, and Charles Billingsley. It's more like a trio. When you get Dolly on there, Charles, and then me in there.
Yeah. And so you even got a single of that, and it's also on the album as well. And you should buy both, actually. It was really fun to put it all together and see you all interact as well. And you get to put in, I mean, just when you moved to Nashville, did you even think you would be doing something with like with Dolly or even Michael W. Probably
never.
And
2 on 1 album. That's the kicker for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true, Larry. It's like when you're a musician and when you're a kid and you're practicing, and then I've known all my life who Dolly Parton is and her music, and Michael W. Smith too. Yeah. But then to be able to work with them and record with them, I mean, what an honor, blessing, privilege for me to be able to have that, and for them to want to be a part of, and I'm just very thankful that they said yes to it. And even now I pinch myself thinking, is this all real? I see the album, I hear it on Spotify or wherever, and it's like, this really did happen.
And it's incredible. It's. I mean, I Will Always Love You has been done every type of way, but this is totally a whole different. You've never heard it done this way. This is like huge orchestra, huge. The piano, everything is 10 times. I mean, and it's a huge song as it is,
Sure.
So it's very different than anything you've heard before, and you're gonna love it. And then of course, Dolly comes in and that makes it even more special when she kind of comes in like a little angel there and gives it this little blessing on there. And then you also do one of my girl Dottie Rambo songs in the medley here on, which one did you
the Majestic Hymns medley.
Yes.
Yeah, so that opens up with David Clydesdale's Holy Is He that he wrote. And then from there it goes into Dottie's Behold the Lamb. Yeah. And David says that's one of the greatest worship songs ever written. And I believe it. It's such a powerful theme, and how Dottie wrote the melody and everything, it's amazing. Yeah,
I love that song. I love that song. But like I said, there's something for everybody on here, and even there's just power in music. Period. There's just 2 types of music. There's good and bad. So God's music, even in secular music, I don't really count it secular if God's people wrote it and it's good, clean music. I just So when you perform it, I think it's God's music, because you're doing it.
And God created music, and there's so many, but it can be used for good or it can be used for bad.
That's right.
So, yeah.
So, I always tease him because he's like the only Christian pianist that's not like, he got a diamond on every on every finger, and it's so funny, Dino, I had worked with Dottie for years, and we worked with Dino a lot, and so Dino used to have like all the diamonds and everything, kind of like he was our Christian Liberace, so to speak,
gotcha.
And but you've heard Dino's, obviously you probably grew up in,
Yep.
But anyway, but who were some of your piano inspirations in Christian music, like growing up? Was Dino one of them?
Well, you know, I listened to him. I listened to Anthony Berger.
Oh, yeah.
He was out there.
Because that's where I met you.
Roger
was through
Bennett.
Southern
It was through
Gospel.
Southern Gospel.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how we got to know each other. Way back in, what was that, 2008 or 9, I think? It's been a while.
Well, Dottie was alive.
Yeah,
right?
she was. So it's
she
before
died
8.
in 08. Yeah,
Yep.
2008. Yeah.
It was the day before my birthday in 08. She passed away May 11th. My
Yeah,
birthday's May
that's
12th.
right.
But yeah, so I also lean toward, you know, because studying, you study classics and you study the jazz. So like Duke Ellington for jazz, he was one of my inspirations in there. And now there's a funny story about him as a band leader. I don't know if you ever heard, he wrote like more compositions than anybody almost outside of the Sherman Brothers, but he would write all his music on the bus, on the tour bus. And on the tour bus, he would have sheets of music all over the place, but when he played with the band, all the piano solos were right hand only.
Oh.
And I'd say, why are all these just right hand only? So I researched it, and it turns out he was either conducting the band with his left hand, or he was smoking, or he was having a glass of something. You know? So that was interesting. Then also with the classics, I always liked the Hungarian composers, so like Zoltán Kodály, Béla Bartók, or Franz Liszt. And we put Franz Liszt on there with the Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2. We did that as a medley, little excerpts of that on top of Bizet from Carmen, and all that stuff is on there, habanera. So, not habanero, that'll give you a lot of spice, but habanera. But yeah, so those were some of my influences early on. But I also had to make a distinction. Do I want to do Christian entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that, or do I do Christian ministry? That's where I believe real impact can happen, and where you walk with people and you know, you get to know, you're not just in and out. And one of the ways we've also done that is with our mission partnership, where we've gotten almost 1,000 kids sponsored in 20 countries. And that's, you know, 1,000 kids living now because of people sponsoring kids through Food for the Hungry through our ministry.
Yeah, tell about that. Tell about that.
Yeah, well, it's life-saving. You know, on the news, we don't hear about it, and I wish we would. And I ask the congregations all the time, I ask them a simple question. Do you know how many, did you hear today that 27,000 kids have perished? And nobody raised their hands. I said, do you think the news will say it tomorrow? Did you hear it yesterday? And everyone is astonished that, no, we don't hear about this. Now, the numbers are better. It used to be 56, 70,000. So having groups and charities like Food for the Hungry, World Vision Compassion, that's helped bring the numbers down. But still, losing 27,000 kids per day is a lot. So every time I do a piano ministry event, my thinking is God is using me in this avenue to also share about how we can save these kids' lives.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So, I mean, you play a lot of the presidential libraries and things, and which is one of your favorite presidents and favorite libraries that you play to? I mean, if you can say, I mean, maybe you can't say, maybe you don't want to say because you know might affect your bookings or something. I don't want to mess that up. Yeah.
Well, no, it's all right. So I've been to like the Andrew Jackson one here, and that was for the president's birthday. You know, he was a Democrat, and so what's interesting about that is 248 years later, I think that was the one we did, there were still protesters out there. So I had to be escorted by the police for my car to go around the protesters. And I'm thinking, you know, were any of these people alive, like when Andrew Jackson was president? You know, it was such a weird thing.
I mean, I understand the controversy with him, but I didn't know people were still doing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at the Nixon Library, and might be going back there soon. And that was they actually have a performance theater and hall, and they do regular concerts there from time to time. And I was able to do my America, My Home concert there. And that's just such a fascinating place. You know, they have the Marine one there, the chopper, and all the artifacts, and you know, some of the poignant moments in history, and the handover to Gerald R. Ford. They actually were critical in helping with. Had there been a second President Trump inauguration 4 years ago, they had sent information to the White House to have me play, at one of the ballroom type things at that time. Yeah, and one of my favorites is to play is David Clydesdale's arrangement of the Star Spangled Banner, which he wrote for Sandy Patty, and he did this. This is what musical, I say he's a talent on loan from heaven, because he wrote this in like 6 hours the night before. And then they go into the studio, but it was for the rededication of the Statue of Liberty in 1986. And Sandy Patty sang. That's how Sandy Patty got on like the Johnny Carson show and other, because everyone's like, who is this voice out there? You know. So I love doing those, and I'll go to any political party because I believe the music of America is for all Americans.
Me too.
You know?
Yeah, I'm like that too. And you know, I think we got to kind of come together, you know, and everything. And so hopefully we can do a little bit more of that this year. I doubt it, but we can do our part anyway,
Right.
you know. And music brings everybody together. So you go over there right now and bring us a little bit together right now and play us. What you're gonna play? I Will Always Love You.
Do you want me to start with that one?
Yeah, or no, whichever one you want. Start with.
Well, whatever you'd like.
Okay.
What would you like?
Well, let's do that one.
Okay, we'll do it.
What you need. A story of survival, overcoming obstacles, and joy in the midst of hardships. A message of hope and the journey of being guided by faith. Allow yourself to be moved by Elizabeth's story and testimony. Be ready to laugh, cry, and see how God is at work in her life. Now available on Blu-ray and DVD. Also features 2 bonus piano performances by Alex Zsolt.
Okay, that was incredible, and I know that you all had to love it as much as I did. So you're going to want to buy the new album and the new single, and if you buy, well, we also have pictures and all kinds of great stuff. You can get it all at what's your website? Al?
PianoCreations.com.
See, there you go.
And that's the gift Dolly and I are doing with the single.
Yes.
Is the picture, signed picture with her and I.
Yeah, there you go. So you get the picture. If you get the single, you get the picture, and that comes with it. So you definitely want to do that. And we have a special guest here joining us, a little movie star here with us, and Elizabeth Vasarhelyi. And did I say it wrong? Vasarhelyi.
It was close. Vasarhelyi.
Vasarhelyi.
I know we're throwing you all these Hungarian names.
Yes, and I call her Mama, but
that's right.
and that's easier to pronounce as well. But but this movie, she has a new movie out. It's a documentary about her life and escaping communism and coming to America, and a beautiful story of a real, well, a struggle really, but a beautiful ending to a struggle. And how do you feel? I've been wanting to ask you this as long as I've known you, and I haven't asked you. How does it feel like when you hear a lot of the young kids and things today? They're all talking about how great communism is, and Marx and Lenin and all these type of things. And I mean, you lived through that, and I mean, how do you think when you hear that from the younger people today, knowing what you came through?
Well, the big problem is they're not taught what happened and what you had to go through, so they'll feel free to just sing and love it or whatever because they hear about it, but they don't talk about it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your story. We don't want to give everything away because this is such a moving documentary. We want you to see it. We're going to show clips from the film. Well, we just showed you a clip right after Alex played, but we're going to show another clip. But tell us a little bit about what it was like, before you were able to escape and come here to America. What it was like in those days.
Well, that was very hard, and without God, I would never make it.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. I was 4 years old when my mom put back in a bed daytime, and I said, Mom, on a party, and I said, Mom, I don't use that a long time. And she said, just stay there. The next second, the Russian guy came in our home, put a gun to my mother's head. Mm. I was 4 years old. I put my hands together, I look up, and I said, God, I know you're not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
The next second, a guy walked out, never hurt my mother. Mm. How much more you need to believe in God?
Mm. Exactly, yeah.
So that's helped me through my life.
Mm. So that was when you were 4?
I was 4 years old.
4 years old. And how old were you when you finally got to come to the United States?
36.
36. Okay. So tell us a little bit more about kind of what life was like living under the communist regime there.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I was an economic planner for a Budapest telephone company, which was a very big job. But then I had a college degree, but I wanted to go for a master's degree. So I asked my boss I want to go. They had to recommend you. And what happened is they said, that's okay. We just have to enjoy a Communist Party. We have to talk to the leader. I said, okay. So I had a meeting with him, and he told me, and I said to him, I'm really sorry, but I don't have time for that. And he said, if you don't have time for that, you don't have time for go to college. And was done.
Yeah. Because they didn't, you weren't allowed to believe in God or...
But they know I do.
Yeah.
So they wasn't really happy about it, because I never ever hide in my life God, never.
Yeah.
You can talk to me, anybody can talk to me.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, God is a one who make me through my life, and I'm still here in life.
Yes. Basically, I mean, you had to deny God to you couldn't get a job in teaching school, right? Or going to school. Am I correct in that?
To go to college,
Yeah.
to get a master's, she couldn't go for that, and there was just such control. And this is you brought a great point, Larry. Is young people aren't thinking about this stuff. What is it really like living under communism or socialism?
Yeah.
And those kinds of thinking that we read about, but people aren't reading about it now.
Yeah.
Or studying about it. And here's how I compare it. It's like a nudist beach. In theory, it sounds like it's a great idea, but the reality is not so good. You know?
Right. And I know it's a painful thing, and it's like even when you're trying to bring it up and talk about it, because it's her life, and it's like, you don't know how to go even with it, because you don't want to bring up too hard of memories. That's why you put it all on here so people can learn from it, and it makes it a little difficult even to because I know all the joy. I'm used to all the laughter and everything, so I don't want to make you sad. I kind of feel like I make you sad talking about it, and I know you bring such joy to people. She's just a joy to be around. She always. All of Alex's friends and all of us when we're there, she's always, just the light and everything, and she's a great seamstress, and you had your own business.
Still running my business.
Yeah,
yep.
and bakes great Hungarian
foods.
Yeah, but you all went to Hungary to film a lot of this. Tell us what that was like. And you did this with your son. What I love about this is you all did it together. You did this with your son too. So, but that also had to be hard, I would think. How did that make you feel?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't have this idea to do this until years later. And what I mean by that is we went with Camp Kirkland and Global Missions Project with a full orchestra and me, and we did 8 cities in 8 days in Hungary. But afterwards, I told Mom, hey, can we spend a couple of days? I want to see where you were born, where you and Dad met, where you went to school, what was the history like, let's go to the Parliament building. So we did all those things, and I took pictures, and that was in 2014. And then 2020, I got the idea, God gave it to me, of, well, gosh, I have all this history, where the climate is in our country, people need to hear her story. And what happened, she was born in World War II, Hungarian Revolution of 56, 2 wars by the time you're 16.
Yeah.
And what does that really look like? Is that what we want to have come to America?
Right.
So in that thinking, I started getting these pictures. We went through all of Mom's pictures that were black and whites of like her dad and all that. And we actually used AI to restore the picture of her dad because it had torn, pen writing, all this. So throughout the conversation Mom and I are having, you have these pictures of Hungary, her, where she was born, family pictures, family history. And the neat thing about that was when we did the interview part in the documentary where I interview her, which was a thrill for me to do, she did not have any of the questions in advance because I wanted her raw emotion to be pulled out and her raw reaction to the questions. And I had a bunch of people send me questions that would be good to ask her. So we did that, and we kept it at about 52 minutes. There's 2 bonus music pieces on there, 2 videos. But we wanted 52 minutes so that we can go into Bible studies we can go into public schools and show this documentary and then do a Q&A with her there so that kids can ask questions of what it's like. And I think this will really impact the lives of young girls.
Yeah.
Because they'll see the story and the struggle and go, yeah, that's not something I would want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I would like to say, which is very interesting to me and very much get to my heart. When I was going to school, every morning before a school started, we had to read newspaper. Guess what they do today? Every single morning they read a Bible.
Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? See,
After our communism, have a president who changed things like that.
yeah. Yeah.
It's just amazing to me. Again, who's working? Our Lord.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that's amazing to come from that and to see, you know, the progress. I think that's wonderful. I think that's great. And Viktor Orban, is that, yeah. Yeah, he gets a bad rap, you know, and I feel so bad about that.
Because he doesn't put up anything. He doesn't let abortion. He
Right,
doesn't
yeah.
have tax change.
Yeah.
He said if you're born of a boy or a girl, you stay there because that's the way how you were made.
Right, right.
He don't let them change them.
Yeah.
And some people would, what a horrible man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So-
They, and then well, the Europe too. They've gone through. He was, with the migration that came through. You know, they had already lost so many people through your era and all of that through the Nazi.
Right.
So they said, we're not going to do that again. We're not going to lose all of our,
Sure.
all of our culture and all of the things that we fought so hard to keep. We're not going to lose that. And they said, no, we're still in our border.
Yep.
Kind of like a little bit about what we're doing. It's different from the United States. The United States is a multicultural, we always were, you know.
And it's a bigger land.
Yeah, it's land,
Square
bigger land
footage,
mass.
yeah.
Right. And I mean, you take over a street in Hungary, you change
Well, yeah,
the
you-
land mass over there. But it's a beautiful place. And a lot of Americans live over there, I hear, and everything. And they're looking in Hungary to kind of find the old America, they say.
Yeah, that's true. There's parts of the world like that. And I think because of his leadership, there's been, for the rest of Europe, Hungary might be an eyesore right now. But either you lead or you don't,
Yeah.
You can't just let things fall apart.
Yeah, I
He
think.
won't.
Yeah, he's a good strong. Now, did you all get as you were growing up? Did you get like American television at all in Hungary, or any American films or anything? So you weren't aware of America at all, really?
Well, I was because I studied different ways.
Did you come straight to America, or did you go to other
Straight.
country first?
No, straight.
Oh, straight. What brought you to?
His father.
Oh.
He came to USA at 1956 when we had a revolution. But I knew him since 5th grade. We went to school together. And then all of a sudden one day we just got a connection. And I knew him and how he grew up and all that, and he wanted to marry me, and I said yes.
Well.
And that's where I came.
Oh, and so what? You originally went to was it Michigan? Is that where you went first? And so you lived there first, and then Arkansas, and then Tennessee. Did you all? Did he pass? Did your dad pass?
Yeah,
or-
about 9 years ago.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Well, and you had how many children?
2
Okay.
2 sons, 2 wonderful, amazing sons.
Oh.
I'd like to meet them sometime.
The 2 brothers, I never heard them screaming each other or yelling each other or disagree each other. They talk everything, they know everything about what's going on in their life. And when Alex is on the way, his brother every day calls me, make sure I'm okay.
That's great.
and they're really close together, and all three of us
That's
very
awesome.
close. We
And we-
don't have no family issues at all.
Oh.
And I tell people, they think I'm lying.
Well, we discuss things out, which is great between siblings, and but you know, he's my adopted brother, and we got into this in the documentary a little bit. Mom adopted him in Hungary in 1971 because she was told she couldn't have kids, and then somehow I showed up later, you know. But I never look at him
He's
that
how
way.
he's
That's
working.
right. God took care of that.
Yeah, Zolti needed a
A
nice
little brother, which I
I know
have. We
it's
have 10
not-
years apart almost.
and a mother
Yes. Yeah. Well,
to
he
bring
needed
up
you
like
too.
that.
So
And we don't have issue. We never talk about that.
That's great,
But-
though. Yeah.
Never. It never comes up. You were adopted.
Yeah.
the only time was in the documentary, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we ask his permission, so we just don't do it. And that our main issue, you have to know how to raise your kids. See, he wasn't my sweetheart, and he was my adopted kid, but a lot of people do it, you know. And I do not believe it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They was raised exactly the same way.
I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. And and we all adopt her. I mean, everybody that meets you, we just love you, and everybody ends up calling her mama.
Oh, that's
And,
true. She's got like 1,000 kids out there.
Yeah. even doing the album, one of the singers, one of the lady singers that
Jennifer.
Yeah, and she even called you. She was calling you mama by the end of it, and I think she said she was close to your age or something.
Yeah,
So anyway, but yeah, you've got to get this documentary and hear her story, and it's on DVD and Blu-ray, and then we have Alex's albums,
It's been a busy year.
and you get the photos with all of it's explained on the website. But anyhow, you get the photos with the single you get with the dolly. You get the dolly picture, and then this with the.
Yep, that comes with that.
You're going to play us another song to close out, and before he does, though, we want to show another clip from the movie, the documentary, and this is important. I really want you to see this documentary because this is a very special lady, real dear to my heart. And this album and this gentleman right here is another one really dear to my heart too. And we were actually going to start our season 5 in about a month from now, and we decided no, we got to get this going a little sooner because we wanted to get the album out. I was a little involved with this, so I wanted to be involved with getting the word out with this. And so we're excited about everything, and I wish you all the success in the world with both of these. And,
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll do another show, and then you can bring me a plaque and say, look, you helped me sell a bunch of these, so here's a plaque here. I'm going to give you a plaque saying we sold 1 million copies of these. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be nice.
Thank you.
And God bless you both.
A lot of people, I really believe, need to hear how you came here to America from Hungary and what you lived through in Hungary. And I want to kind of go over that a little bit and let people hear and just have you talk about that. But also, but there's some fun memories too. And going to Hungary to see Grandma, but also just a few years ago when we were with the Global Missions Project and went to Hungary with the full orchestra. And then a couple days later, we got to spend some time and got to see some of the places where you grew up and things like that. But I want to start real basic and go back just to the basics of life and let people know and start from scratch. So, when and where were you born?
Well, I'm not sure I'm gonna say when, but I was born in Miskolc, Hungary.
Miskolc, Hungary. How far is that from Budapest?
A few hundred miles.
A few hundred miles. Yeah. And it's interesting because people, they mispronounce a lot of times Budapest because people will say Budapest. And Hungarians.
No, that's not pest, it's pest.
It's pest. Yeah, we're not pests. We're trying not to be.
Hey guys, it's Larry. Thank you so much for all the support for our show, MrNashvilleTalks.com. And I thank you so much for visiting our website, for sharing all our things that we post and all our videos and all our shows. We couldn't do it without you. Our show is totally dependent on viewer support, and you're giving us a lot of that with all your social media likes and shares and tweets and everything that you're doing, and I can't thank you enough. Also, if you want to help a little further, we would love that, and you can help take us even farther and farther and farther up the ladder by going to our store at MrNashvilleTalks.com and purchasing a souvenir or some music, or there's no telling what you'll find there. We're always adding something. We have great plans to add a lot of great things there, so please support our store and support all our social media, and most of all, support our show, because we support you. We want to bring you these great people. Thank you so much. Now subscribe right here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, just subscribe right here. We need some subscribers.